welcome to you. My name's Dale and this is Dale's Addiction. I am so excited to be bringing you part 2 of the conversation that I had with Nick Snell. Nick has a channel called Living Life Loud with Nick J. Snell, and Nick and I have been chatting since we both started YouTube, a couple of years ago now. Now, one thing that Nick and I have in common that I think, I guess we both get feedback on it and we're both very passionate about it, is our love of injecting our personality into our personal style. And we've both been on a journey, very different journeys, but they have some things in common about how we've been able to do that over the course of, say, the last 5 to 10 years. And we thought that that might make for an interesting conversation to share with you guys. So part 1 went live about a week ago on Nick's channel, and Nick and I are talking about how to bring your personality into your personal style, kind of starting with the very basic, scratching the surface, not so that you're wearing a bright lime green shirt like I am today, but starting to figure out, well, what is your personal style? What are the personality elements that you want to bring to your personal style, and how to do that in a way where you feel safe and that you're not in a fancy dress party. This part 2 is what's stopping you from really getting into your personal style, and some of the strategies that we think might be able to help you overcome those barriers. Simple, practical things like cost and fabrics and fit, comfort levels, and then things that sit inside the mindset around self-sabotage, judgment, conservative environments, your workplace, those sorts of things. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. They're long videos, they're conversations. You can come back to them, you can have us on in the background, but I'd really love to know from you what you take away from these conversations. We certainly enjoyed having them, and I'm always learning, so anything that you can add to this conversation is also welcome. Once again, if you haven't heard of Nick or you haven't seen Nick's channel, please jump on the description box below, click over and watch part 1, and you'll fall in love, and you'll watch the rest of his videos as well. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to see you back. Until then, enjoy. So we've both kind of put together some of a list of things that we think might stop you from enjoying your personal style, and then how to overcome them. And we're then going to share with you one of our favorite outfits that we've chosen, and just talk you through why that represents our personal style so much and why we enjoy it, I suppose. So Nick, you had a really good list of really practical things in terms of fit, color, fabric, comfort. Do you want to kind of collectively talk about how those things stop you from enjoying your personal style and what you can do about remedying them?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you wouldn't think that me and practical would go in the same sentence. I don't always strike, I don't think I always have the most practical sense of style. But like the first thing that I think is always the most important, whatever the garment may be, does it fit how I would like it to? We've all had those items. I've got some in my wardrobe now that were, how do I put this, an aspirational purchase in terms of what I thought it could be. I
Yeah.
didn't really think about what it was. It was going to be Nick after he spent 6 months working towards it, and he's just never got there. That's something that I'm much more conscious of now than I used to be. I used to be one of those people that would buy something because it was it might not fit quite right, but it was less expensive than the thing that would have fit better. So I opted for that, and I never felt comfortable in it. So I never wore it. So it might have been 20% cheaper, but it was 100% more of a waste of money because
Yes.
it never got worn.
And I find fit really important for most things, obviously, but really important for jeans, blazers, especially, and necklines as well. I think There's nothing worse than having restricted movement that doesn't look good either. I mean, it's quite funny. I'm heading off to Meredith's wedding um, next week, and she's like, "Oh, I just want to make sure everyone's comfortable." And I'm like, "I have never been comfortable at a wedding
Yeah.
in my life. It's the opposite of the dress code. Like, who is comfortable in formal wear and cocktail wear? Like, it's beside the point. It's a second priority. But when
Yeah.
it's day to day, if I'm working and I've got to reach up to write on something, I need things to fit me well.
Mm.
And not being able to lift an arm or not being able to pick things up off the floor and worry that I'm going to flash my underpants to people, like that's just, you really need to be aware of those things, because if you're uncomfortable, the energy that you burn during the day on managing your discomfort and hiding it from others and then still trying to produce what you're trying to produce, whether it's to be an engaged conversation or to do your work or whatever, it's the worst. It's the
Yeah.
worst. Yeah.
And I don't think you carry clothes as well if you
Yes.
feel uncomfortable in them, because you're right, you, even if it's subtle, you might be shifting in it, you might be pulling at it. And
Hmm.
those are quite subtle cues that you feel yourself. You then become even more conscious of it. So you start to almost overcorrect, which then
Yeah.
means that someone probably notices it more than they would have done to begin with.
Yes.
And you're right, fit is so important. And the items that you mentioned are key ones. But even an item that is naturally going to be uncomfortable, take a heel, for example. A heel is never a comfortable thing. It's not. But you can make them more comfortable by
Yes.
buying ones that fit correctly. You have to
Yes.
accept that unfortunately there is going to be a challenge there. But you can do yourself a favor by buying ones that actually fit properly, or
Yeah.
that, yeah,
Like there's
yeah,
nothing worse than the little newborn foal look of
the teeter
people.
totter.
And then the taking off of the shoes and walking barefoot, you're just like, no, no, no. But yeah, I think fit's a really important one. And it also connects to the fabric point that you made in terms of some things just need to be made in the right type of fabrics to get the movement that you want. Because even though they might fit, they might not have give, they might not have movement, they might crease, they might in all the wrong places, they might not look good beyond when you first put them on. As soon as you sit in them, they look bad. So I think that's also a
Linen's a
really
classic
important point.
example of that, where freshly pressed linen is something that you can feel so great in.
Mm.
And unfortunately, it's something that the photos after are never very forgiving in. You know,
You look like you just rolled out of bed, like, oh.
yeah. And it is one that beforehand, it just looks seamless and absolute perfection. Once you've sat down twice in it, all of a sudden it's crumpled. Or you're right with the feel of something. Take sequins, for example, and we've just come out of that festive season where a lot of people will have been wearing kind of glitter or sequins. If you've got a neckline that's got a sequin near it, that scratching is so uncomfortable. And
And
are you
under
going
your
to be
arms
under
is
your
the
arms?
worst. Yeah.
Are you going to be able to have fun? Because that's the type of thing that as soon as you notice it, you can't think of anything but.
You
Back to
just
the
like
heel
this.
example. Yeah, yeah. It's like when you notice your feet hurt. As soon as you admit to yourself your feet hurt, you're done.
Yes.
That's it. It's all
Yeah.
over. And it'll be the same with that. As soon as you notice a little bit of scratching or something, you will only ever want to get that garment off.
And it definitely does take the enjoyment away from it. But I have to say, like, for all the years that I have been, wearing uncomfortable things, whether it's strapless bras, I don't know anybody who's come up with a comfortable one of those for a long period of time. Sequins, heels, jeans that after you've had dinner feel like they're cutting you in half. So it's better to stand up and go with the pain of your feet than the pain of the jean around your middle, and then you get home and the impression of all of the fabric is still in your skin. And I'm just like, and I still haven't learned a thing.
Yeah.
On the outside, I'm like, this looks good. On the inside, I'm
Yeah.
like, I cannot wait to get home
Yeah.
because this is killing me.
Ashamed to the car, trying to keep it together.
Yeah. Oh, as soon as I get to the Uber, I'm like kicking the shoes off. I'm
Yeah.
undoing the jeans. So we've basically just given you guys all the reasons that you won't enjoy your personal style, but why you should do it anyway.
I mean, the fact that we keep doing it, even knowing all of this,
Yeah.
we keep doing it.
Fashion is pain. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Now, Nick, tell me about proportions, because this is something that we talked about for quite a bit when we first caught up around. One of the reasons that we might not enjoy our personal style as much is because we've got the proportions wrong. And I think this is a really important point that you made in your list. And I think it's something that people don't think about enough. And I certainly had a big learning about it recently. But tell me what you mean by that.
So I think it's all about understanding the dimensions of an outfit and understanding your proportions as well, and trying to mix and match pieces to see how you can make them best work. And there's not a specific formula for it. It'll be individual based on each person, and of course so much of it is personal preference. But it might be that, for example, there's sometimes this thought that if you've got a long line jacket, let's say you're wearing a long line jacket, you have to wear ankle length trousers with it. There's absolutely no reason why you have to do that. You could potentially wear shorts with it if you wanted to, and kind of mix and match, accentuate the parts of your body that you want to accentuate. You can elongate your body as well. Having a longer item doesn't necessarily make your body look longer. In the same way that having a having a slightly different proportion of item changes the proportion of your overall look. You know, we were just using the example of a heel. Consider if you're wearing skyscraper shoes, you might adjust the hemline of your trouser, your skirt, your short, your dress, your suit, whatever that may be, to account for the fact that you've got a taller shoe. So you might drop the hemline of something else, and you can kind of mix and match the proportions of an outfit in that way. And it's also a way of bringing a slightly different flair to certain pieces as well. You can pull things in as well. It might be that you've got an oversized blazer that if you want to feel a bit more casual, you allow it to remain oversized. However, you might decide one day that you want it to feel that little bit more pulled together, so you stick a belt over the top of it, and all of a sudden you've given it a very different silhouette. Same item, different silhouette, completely different look.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that example, because yesterday my outfit of the day, I didn't even have shoes or a bag with it. It was just this new oversized linen blazer that I bought. And I bought it because it was one of those pieces I referred to in our other video around shopping for holidays. And I'm thinking, what's a piece that I can take on a summer holiday that I can make look smart, that I can wear over dresses, I can wear with jeans. It's light enough. It's going to look lived in. Anyway, I landed on this oversized linen blazer, and I just wore it with a pair of straight leg jeans and a similar toned top to the blazer. And several people said to me, have you lost weight? Because the proportion of the blazer on the outside compared to what was underneath, it had changed the proportions of my body. And so it had given the illusion of it's oversized, so therefore not too big that I was wearing someone else's, but it made me look smaller. Whereas sometimes I can buy oversized things like a t-shirt and it adds like 20 kilos to my frame. So I will buy oversized t-shirt styles 3 sizes smaller than I would normally
Mm.
buy them, so they look fitted on me.
Yeah.
So yeah, some, I guess, examples of how you can play with your shape. And when you wear monochromatic looks, which Nick and I tend to do quite a bit, they really give you a nice visual on the eye. So even though people might be scared of going, oh, I would feel so uncomfortable wearing head to toe pink or purple or green or blue, I could do it in black. And you go, what is it about the head to toe black that you love? Oh, it's streamlined. I look tall or I look slimmer. Well, apply that to any color. It's going to be the same outcome. I think it's just this perception that we have that only black does that. But really, it's that monochromatic look that does it. It's not the actual color itself. So,
And it can be even something as simple as the way that you tuck in a shirt,
yes,
for example.
to
So
create a waistline.
yeah, you absolutely can. It could be fully untucked to play with the proportion. It could be half tucked. It could be completely tucked in. And that alters the proportion of an outfit. And ultimately, outfits are a bit of an illusion, really, because it's
They
all
are,
about
yeah.
what you want to draw the eye. And that in itself is sometimes a little bit of trial and error. But even with a t-shirt, if you've got a logo t-shirt, think about where's the logo situated on the t-shirt, because if it's something that is logoed, or if you've got a graphic tee, where is the graphic? Because
Yes.
ultimately that's going to draw someone's eye, because the whole point is it's bold and they're going to be looking and saying, what is that? What is it that you're wearing? So if the graphic is placed on somewhere that you're wanting to divert the eye away from, then it's probably not the most successful thing to wear.
Yes.
In the same way that if you're wearing a certain jacket or even a certain color, think about, is that how you want to draw, where you want to draw the eye to? Or do you want somebody to, with a monochromatic look that takes them kind of up and down the whole outfit?
Yeah.
So they're not particularly drawn to anywhere. So it's understanding your own shape, your own proportions, and then just trial and error dressing accordingly.
So learning all those things and going, why does that make me feel frumpy? Or why do I feel like I have to wear heels with that? Because I'm trying to get longer. Why am I trying to get longer? Because this particular piece of clothing is making me feel short. I wear cropped pants, and I think you wear like your ankles exposed a bit as well, because I think that makes my leg longer. Whether I'm wearing a sneaker, a heel, a sandal, I will always wear a cropped pant because I've got a more significant booty and waist area. So I'm like, well, I want to draw the eye down to what's on my feet. So yeah, cropped pants work for me rather than long pants.
Yeah, and I learned the trick with because my stomach's not completely flat. So I learned that because I've got quite long legs, I can afford to have a slightly longer top, because it then almost equals my torso to my legs. So although they're not equal, I equal them out quite often in clothing, because otherwise sometimes, and I still sometimes wear outfits that do this, but if it stops too close to my stomach, it exposes the fact it's not flat. So I kind of cover that a little bit by allowing the top to, or the jacket, whatever that may be, to extend a little bit beyond, because then it smooths itself back out and then it goes into the trouser. But that was something that I learned over time. Still sometimes get wrong. But it's a simple styling trick. I think I remember watching that on like a Trini and Susanna styling show or something that they were talking about, and it's always.
You remember Gok? Did you have Gok?
Gok Wan, yes.
Yes. He was how to look good naked. That was his show, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So to kind of shift this conversation a little bit, when we're talking about the things that stop you from enjoying your personal style. So we've talked about very obvious things in terms of what you're choosing and how you put them together and why they don't feel quite right. Then we've got the the other side of it, which is the judgment, the budget, the confidence,
Yeah.
the crowds that you hang around, I guess, and conservative environments, and how we might self-sabotage each other, ourselves, sorry, not each other. Um, and so
It's
looking
great.
at
Who
it
are
from
you
that
sabotaging?
perspective, and one of the things that I put out there, and I'm keen to hear your view on this, but if I'm trying something new, whether it be a color or a new hairstyle or a different style of clothes, for example, if I feel like a bit hesitant about it, or people are going to ask me about it, or otherwise maybe give me some passive weird comments that I might read a bit into because I'm feeling a bit, vulnerable. One of the strategies that I have to kind of move on with that is to say, oh, I'm just, how are you today? Oh, I'm pretty good. Like, I'm trying out this new color. Like, I don't know if it really works for me or not, but I really like it. So I'm just trying to figure out if it works. And if you put that up front for people to say, oh, I'm trying something new, I'm in two minds about it. You'll either get some reassuring feedback. Oh, I actually really like it. I think you might even get some suggestions around, have you tried it this way or that way? Or you'll just get oh, good for you, and just acknowledge that I don't need to say to you, I think it looks horrible. Like, you're trying something out, good for you, you know?
And
Um,
there's also nothing worse than someone fishing for a compliment when you're genuinely unsure. But we've all heard it when someone's gone, I'm not sure, I think I hate it. And they secretly love it, but they just want you to go, no, it's amazing.
yeah,
Honestly. Never better, never better. Like
yeah, yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
balance it out.
Exactly. And I think, if you're around people that you know and love, and you're trying something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, I
Yeah,
think by acknowledging that it is, you kind of take away its power over you when
yeah.
you're playing with it.
Yeah, it's that reassurance. I did it probably a couple of months ago where I tried a new hair color. So it was this very, I've kind of dyed my hair blonde for years and years. Little secret that my hair is dyed. Um, in case there was ever any doubt. Um, but my hairdresser had tried this new color and it had this very bluish tone to it. And it was a bit different for me, and I've always been much more towards the kind of yellower shades of blonde than those very kind of grayish blue icier tones, and I didn't know what to think of it, and I couldn't quite figure it out, so I called my friend, and it was they said, what's wrong, you never call like this, what's going on? And I said to them, what do you think of my hair? He said, well, what do you think about it? I said, I don't care. I don't need to tell you what I think. What do you think? And it
Yeah.
was just because it didn't matter to me actually what they said, if they'd have said I like it or I don't. I just needed to speak to someone about it because
Yes.
I wasn't sure. And I knew it was what it was. I wasn't going to be able to change it, but I just
Mhm.
needed to talk to somebody about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Get a bit of reassurance in a dialogue where I just wanted to talk it through.
And you know what? It's a point down here as well in terms of one of the strategy, but it's to engage people whose style you admire, or whose opinion you respect, or who is actually an expert. And as in a personal stylist or a professional colorist or whatever. And just talk about it. Like, you don't have to go through these thoughts on your own. And I think there's this real, I don't know, not shame, but like, it's something that you manage yourself. Like, you wouldn't talk to people about things that you're thinking about, or changes to your body if you've put on weight or you've lost weight, or different stages of your life, um different things that affect us in different ways and change our body, and therefore how we dress for it at a particular point in time. But also at colouring, you talked about hair colouring. I have the same thing. Like my hair looks all right today, but it was really orange, and I was just like, oh, great. My whole Christmas is now going to be covered in photos of me with orange hair, right? Because we'd started to pull the lightning up a bit
Yeah.
where there was some existing colour. Um, and I'm like, well, I could acknowledge, go, yes, my hair's orange, but no one else cared. And it was just me. So I just wore it up most of the time, to cover it up. Um, but by the same token, when I cut my bangs and like I was all for it, and then I did it and I was like, oh, I'm really not, I'm really not liking this. Like, it was a bad time because it's getting hot, whatever. But I talked about it. I didn't go around having this inner monologue around, oh my God, I feel ugly or I feel daggy or I feel uncomfortable because I hate my hair. I just talked about it. I'm just like, oh my God, these bangs, they're driving me crazy. Like, what a great idea that was, coming into summer. And it just took the power away from that thing, making me feel crap. And then I had to just be a little more creative around how I styled my hair until they got long enough to kind of hide back in there again.
Yeah.
But
And
you've got to do these things.
And especially with changes like that you kind of get to this point of there's no going back. So sometimes you have these brave moments or flashes of inspiration.
Yeah.
And you can put it off and say, actually, okay, I'm not going to do it. Or you have this moment where you go, right, I'm just going to do it. And whatever happens, happens. And then you have to then force yourself to figure out how to make it work, to figure out how to make that work in your style, or you're just going to spend the next however long a bit miserable because waiting for for the dye to wash out or the bangs to grow or whatever that might be.
And if you don't know the answer, ask people. What do they think? Any suggestions that they have?
So an example, actually, this is probably a better example than my hair dye story, but I was looking at getting my ears pierced and I had not decided whether or not I wanted to do it. And so I got magnetic earrings. And I remember speaking about it on a video and I had people say, oh, I really like them. I think they suit you. I think they work. And I probably wore those magnets for a good 6 weeks. Lesson learned, magnetic earrings are crap because the magnets are not strong enough. So don't spend a lot of money on those. I had to buy like a pack of 24 because I kept losing them. But ultimately, I could have really got in my own way with saying it's permanent. I'm nervous about it. I don't know what people are going to say. These are all things that were going through my mind. But I thought, is there another way I could try this without it being so permanent? Well, there was. I could use the magnets. People quite liked it. And then if all else failed, if needs be, you take them out and you let the hole close up as best it can. And, the only thing I made sure to do was I had lots of weddings last summer. I decided to not do it before that because otherwise, if I hated them, they were going to be immortalized in other people's wedding albums. So I decided to steer clear of weddings until I knew I liked them, because otherwise they would be forever in those photo albums.
And now I can't imagine you without them, Nick. Like it's just such a cohesive part of your look. It took me 32 years to get my seconds done, and they're so small you can't even see them. But like I was like, they're just tiny little things.
Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
And I never changed them. It's just, I don't know. So I think that's a really great example. I think another one things that stop you from enjoying your personal style is your own confidence in I guess accepting who you are, what shape you are, what color you are, how you present to the world, and just the self-acceptance part. And I think this is not a counseling video or anything like that, but I guess I know you've talked about it on your channel in the past, but what are some of the strategies, I guess, that have helped you kind of go, well, this is who I am and I'm going to make the most of these bits, and I'm going to conceal these bits, and I'm just, and I love these colors and they're part of my wardrobe, and I'm just gonna that you now have that confidence that perhaps you might have not had in the past.
5 years ago, I wasn't wearing a monochromatic pink suit with the pink trainers, etc. However, 5 years ago, was I maybe wearing the pink jacket? Yes, but I was wearing it with quite a different ensemble around it. Or I was wearing the pink shoes, but I was wearing it with something different around it. Then as time went on, I wore the pink jacket with the pink shoes and I was top and tailing the outfit. Then I started to add the middle pieces as well. And that kind of softly does it approach just embedded it within myself, but also then other people forget that you never didn't dress like that. And it's now to the point where I wear something like a suit, a navy blue suit, which I do from time to time, just to mix it up a bit. And it really throws everybody. So my style has now become so embedded in other people's minds when they think about me, that when I wear something that would be completely the opposite, that would be embedded within other people for their own style, they look at me and go, hold on, you're wearing a navy blue suit, what's happening here? Whereas instead, for most other people, it would be, hold on, you're wearing a pastel pink suit, what's happening here? So there's that approach, and I have followed that. But then there are other times where you just think, screw it. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'll never know if I like it, and I'll never know what the reaction is. So I can sit at home worrying about what the reaction will be, or I can go and just see what the reaction will be. Take the heel thing. I love a good heel. I could spend time sat at home worrying about, what are people going to say about me if I'm wearing a heel? And I can think of all the things that I'm going to say to them in retaliation to that. Or I could just go out and see if there's a reaction to it. 9 times out of 10, there isn't. And for 1 time out of 10, at home, I've got a really smart response for that individual. As soon as they say something to me, you just go, whatever. You carry on with your day and I'll carry on with mine, kind of thing. So you just, a lot of it is about being comfortable, but there's also something to be said for pushing yourself outside your comfort zone as well. And it might be that the style is your comfort zone, but your style around other people goes beyond it. So sometimes you just, to be honest, and wait to see what the feedback is, if the feedback is something you're worried about, and be honest with yourself about, is it something that you are concerned about, or something that does impact the way that you feel about yourself? And there's nothing wrong with other people's opinions impacting how you feel about yourself. But I think it's important to understand that about yourself. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
I think, the thing that I can definitely relate to is the talking about it piece. I think YouTube's been one of the best things that has happened to me in terms of my confidence, whether it's where I wear luxury, not that I even thought about it before, but that I can now talk to people about something I'm interested in, because I used to think, even though people in my life knew that I was interested in it, nobody ever asked about it. Nobody ever inquired about, oh, Dale, what have you bought lately? Or what are you really loving at the moment? It just wasn't something that people engaged in. And I just thought, how offensive. Like, we're in a relationship, whether it be family or friendship, and you know what my interests are, and you never ask about them. So what do is that because that it's not something that's socially acceptable to talk about, or because you're not interested, we won't talk about it, even though I'm not interested in the fact that your little baby just grew a tooth? Like, you know what I mean? But I will be interested because that's a really big moment in your life at the moment. And so I used to get really about that. And since being on YouTube and talking about what I'm interested in, I have more confidence in it. The same as posting Instagram shots. I didn't know how to pose for a selfie. I still don't really. But I'm more conscious of things like my proportions and and if something works, because I take the photo, and weirdly, when I look at the photo versus the image in the mirror, I see things in the photo that I don't see when I look in the mirror. And that really helps me to make little corrections and to go, you know what, I've had this body for 42 years. It's looked the way it does now for probably the last 5 years. And I like my life a lot. And I have tools and tricks and ways to make the best of what I have here. And it doesn't mean that I need to look like somebody else. And so I'll create my personal style around what I'm working with, what I like, who I interact with, and where I'm going. And that really helps me with confidence,
Yeah.
to the extent the things that I get least confident about. I went to this Fendi event and I wore a dress that I bought. I loved the color of it, but it had a really deep V, right? And I've got, a fairly ample set of boobs, and I would just never wear something like that.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know, because I didn't want people to look at me that way. I don't know. I don't know why. And I just went, you know what? That dress has been sitting in my wardrobe for the best part of 6 months. And I'm going to wear it out. And I think it's going to be cute. And
Yeah.
even though initially I was a little bit like, and people that know me are just like, boobs. But it was funny. I still felt good. I didn't feel embarrassed or less confident. I felt good because we could talk about it as opposed to, not talking about it and just sitting there going like this the whole time, which would have been the opposite of confident.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, I feel like confidence is something that grows, and it's something that changes day to day. And as you age, as your body changes and goes through different things, we've got to try and find the confidence. And I think the key that I've found is have people that you love and trust that you can talk to about how you're feeling about your confidence, so they can help you tap into the things that you do feel good about and just do more about that,
Yeah.
rather than all the other stuff. So I think that kind of lends us to the end of our video, which is we kind of had a conversation around pick an outfit that you have really enjoyed wearing, that you think represents your personal style and your personal brand, and take us through, if we went through that checklist, I suppose, how it fits within that checklist of enjoying your personal style. So is there an outfit that comes to mind for you that you just go, yep, this one, it's one of my favorites of recent times?
Oh, see, I'm just quickly scrolling through some photos. Do you know, I've got it's hard. Like, I don't want to sound like a dick, but I've got some good outfits.
Confidence is not a problem for Mr. Nick J. Snell.
Oh, okay. Can I cheat? Can I have two?
Sure.
Am I allowed two? And they're slightly different.
Okay.
One of my absolute favorites, I would say, is it's the pink suit.
Yes.
I love that pink suit. And the great thing with that pink suit was I bought the blazer and the trousers 5 years apart. So
Right.
the blazer itself is tweed. I bought that in 2016. The trousers are a completely different fabric, and I bought those in 2021. They are a completely different look. And I love that I've got my Trippy Tiger Mulberry Bayswater
This is the
with
one,
the
yes.
denim. It is absolutely that outfit.
Yep.
With this, it's a Moss Brothers t-shirt and a pair of New Look. Other than the bag, there is nothing designer about that outfit. That suit is ASOS, and then you've got the New Look trainers and the Moss Brothers t-shirt. And I think that outfit, minus the bag, £80, I think that cost me. And I just love it. It's an absolute go-to. I love the proportions of it. The blazer fits well. I, like you, love a kind of cuffed trouser that
Yes.
hits at the ankle, mixed with a trainer. I love the mixture of fabrics because you've got a woolen t-shirt with a tweed jacket, with a denim bag, with a knitted shoe. And then the trousers are a little bit more kind of silky. And I really like that about it. But
Yep.
it's still got this elongation of the body because of the monochromatic color match.
Yes.
So that's one that I love. And even then, even my phone case matches that
Yes.
particular outfit. And I wouldn't do a pink bag with that. I never wear a pink bag with that particular suit because actually I do find it a bit, I like the contrast of an item that can be removed.
Yes.
So I normally do green with that. I normally wear a green bag.
So you talked about the fit, the color, the fabric, the comfort, the proportions. Confidence.
10. And the cost.
What I
That's
love
what.
about it is it's an otherwise very polished look, but it has some undone elements. The fact that you're unshaven, that you've got the sneaker, the trainers on, and that you've got this, you know, your trippy tiger bag. I think it's like, yes, I'm wearing what would otherwise be, if it was navy, a conservative outfit, tweed, wool, like, you know, nice smooth sacks, but I have added unexpected elements to make it me. And to me, that sings to me, like in
Yeah.
terms of personal style, because I'm like, it's your colorway, they're your pieces, and they're put together in an unexpected yet cohesive way. And it's a look.
Well, go on then. You, before I do my second one, you give me one. What's your one?
Oh, look, I only have one. Well, I could give you two. I could give you two, I
Go on,
suppose.
give me two. I mean, I could pick out of the ones you sent me. I can pick out loads.
Well, the one that I was going to think of first is the one that I wore for my birthday recently, which was this one.
Yes.
Why? Well, I'm few things. Color. So it's that new experimental color that I'd landed on, so much so that I invested in a Fendi Peekaboo in that color. But I like the fact that there's a few things. So if I look at proportion, my legs, you know, they look longer, and I've got the billowy top with a bit of skin showing. I've pulled my hair back. If I had my hair down with that, it would have looked really quite heavy across the top. So pulling the hair back, having those billowy sleeves, and then continuing that sleeve down onto the bag, I think really worked. If that bag had just been a pop of color on its own, I would have felt quite uncomfortable. It was all about the bag. I wanted it to look cohesive. But because it was a birthday lunch, you know, we've double bagged it and added a bit of sequin,
I see that.
you know, for something a little bit playful. And then the purple Todd's slides is back to that inspiration that I got from Fendi Cruise around, could I wear this color anyway? Because purple I love, but they had styled the purple with the lime in a lot of different looks. And
Yeah.
it was just like catnip. I was like, oh, I can't get enough of it. Everywhere I look, I see combinations that I could make with this. And I just felt really good that day.
Yeah.
And
No,
yeah, it was a new look, new colors, and it felt good.
no, I love this. I think it's really well balanced. I love the way that the colors work together, and kind of the tone almost softens as you work your way down the outfit. So you go from
Mm.
that kind of more vibrant green into this softer blue, but then you then move into this pastel purple. So you're kind of softening the palette
Yeah.
as you work your way down the outfit. I love the dimension that the top offers.
Mm.
I think it works. I think it works really well. And you've got a double Fendi bag. I mean, who's not? What is there not to love about that? So no, I think it works really, really well. And even those shoes have that kind of little bit of visual interest because they have perspex heels. So there's a
Yes.
little bit of unexpectedness there that you wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily catch on first glance.
No.
And I think that's a fun outfit and a successful outfit when you don't necessarily catch everything all in one go.
Yeah, I would agree. And behind the bag, there's actually a big hole in my jeans, which I also love distressed
Yeah,
jeans. I'm a big fan of distressed jeans because
me
I
too.
like something to look out of place. And it's usually my hair or something that I will ensure that there's something out of place. But yeah, I felt good. I felt good. So yeah, thank you.
No, that's a win. I like that one.
All right, show me your next one.
Oh, so I'm torn between two, but think, I think a real go-to, and this is where we were talking about the uniform item,
Yeah, yeah.
and I love this all black look where you've got, and I've got a black blazer with the black turtleneck with the black jeans, and I've got this silk kind of grey scarf that I've done that little trick that I spoke about where I draped it and tucked it into the waistband so it's still kind of all within that same kind of palette. And then I've got the monogrammed Longchamp top handle bag that then has the high shine mock croc. So
Yeah.
you've got this quite, for me, a very conservative outfit, but I've added a bit of texture and a bit of dimension with the scarf, which is also removable. It's
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. And then you've got a little pop with that monogram. And funnily enough, that bag is very much outside of my normal palette,
Yeah.
but I wear it a significant amount because I've just got this rotation of outfits that it works well with.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable with it. But I would say the pink is probably more of an expression of my style in terms
Yes.
of that really fun, vibrant piece. But actually, this is, I think, the outfit that can do it all. And
Yeah.
but still has dimensions of me.
Yes, absolutely. And I would agree. I think it's it's a mistake to think that you can only wear, say, prints on the top half and not on the bottom half, or to bring a point of interest, or to wear otherwise conservative clothes in a fashion forward way, because they do exist. You just need to look outside of your normal line of sight. And I think this is a really great example of how you can make, I wouldn't say more subtle, but it's almost a trick to observers, that it's not as jarring as, say, a hot pink and lime combo. But it's
love pink
still
and lime. What a great combo.
exactly. But it's still very it's noticed, and people would say, oh, it wouldn't be as jarring, it would be more sophisticated, but it's still exactly the same combination of pieces, just in a different spot on the body.
Such an easy outfit to adjust as well.
Yes.
And so just changing that scarf
Yeah.
to a scarf that is pink or a scarf that is yellow,
Yeah.
and switching out that bag, suddenly that looks quite different.
Yeah.
But you only switched out two pieces, but you
Yeah.
feel like you've got a slightly different outfit. And that, particularly if you don't have a particularly extensive wardrobe, or you're someone who focuses more on a capsule wardrobe, having those outfits that can be very easily interchangeable is really important. So do you have a second one, do you think?
I do, and it's going to be my take on the neutral, just for something a little bit different. So it's this one I'm talking about.
Right.
And this was me, off to see clients, and I'm basically wearing a foundation of black pants and a black blouse. That blazer is a Vic and Woods blazer, which has like a slit here, so you can actually flick it up and you have
Cool.
an open hem, but otherwise it looks like a beige blazer. I've got this really voluminous Louis Vuitton leopard print slash hardware print kind of scarf on. Very, those Roger Vivier pumps there, you wouldn't look twice at them, but people do because they have a square toe. So that's a little twist on something. They have this, they look like the shoes that the witches of Inkland wore in Roald Dahl's witches.
Yeah.
The original version where they all had square toed shoes. So they are
Every
quite
time I walk
interesting.
past Roger Vivier at Bicester, I think of you because they've got an outlet at Bicester,
Oh
and I always
no, I need
walk
to
past it, and
go.
I'm like, Dale's favourite.
Honestly, I want those Chelsea boots in patent with the big crystal buckle, but I live in the tropics. I want them. If I can find them in the outlet, I've picked them up. They're actually very light. I think they'd be quite wearable, but they're 3,250 Australian dollars. So I'm just like, I can't.
Okay, well, I'll keep my eyes peeled, and if I
Yeah,
see them, I'll send you a photo, and we can always do a little postage jobby.
size 39. But this bag obviously is a thing, so it's the contrast. We've got the leopard print and then we've got the the Balenciaga, but Gucci Supreme print and a bit of graffiti. And that's kind of, that smile to me is just like, like I may not have been showing the graffiti when I was in the office, but I am leaving the office now and here I am. And yeah, I think that's an example of how you can go corporate and still be you. And for me, certainly, it shows dimension in how you dress, where you can still go, I've got this very broad color palette. I can do neutrals. They're not my favorite, but I can do them. How I pull them together is through prints and patterns and cheeky little nods to things that are interesting to me. And with a few changes, I could look like anyone else in that building, so yeah, there's, yes, there are a few looks that I'm particularly happy with, but I thought that was just if anyone was doubting the fact that I could do a neutral look, I can.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is that we do have those kind of go-tos across our whole spectrum of dressing, where if we want to go all out, we know what to go to. If we want to be that little bit more pulled back or conservative or neutral, we know where to go with that as well. But that does take time. There is sometimes some trial and error involved, and again, you play with the proportions of an outfit. Would I feel, if I had a more kind of suity suit, so to speak, I wouldn't feel anywhere near the same as I do in my version, my take on a black suit.
Yeah.
So, and I have a black suit hanging in my wardrobe. I wouldn't feel anywhere near as comfortable in it as I do in my take on it, using those kind of more form-fitting silhouettes, etc. Because that to me is what adds a little bit of something to it.
So I hope you enjoyed that conversation between Nick and I. Remember, if you haven't already, please thumb up this video, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Nick's channel, linked in the description box below. And if there's any topics you'd like to hear us talk about further, please leave those in the comments box below. Thanks so much for joining us, and until the next video, ciao!